Okay, you're welcome on our platform. Aine the Steve, the biology priest. Okay, many people have been saying they are perturbed and in fact they are challenged on what to answer, when to answer, and how do we answer the biology. Today we have come back with a solution on how to answer biology and what we call the competence-based new curriculum. My name is I'm Stephen and as a biology priest, you can call me like that. And today we have come to emulsify or to dive in what we call the answering of biology. I'm going to introduce the paper very well and to see how we answer the content of biology from senior 1 up to senior 4. I welcome you. Today is January 2025 and the date today it is 6th. Yeah. Now biology paper 1, because biology has got 2 papers, 553 stroke 1 and then stroke 2 or stroke 3. Stroke 2 and then stroke 3, these are biology practical papers. And then this one is the theory paper. The theory paper. Now, biology paper 1 has got 2 sections. Whereby you have what we call section A and then section B. Whereby section A has got 3 compulsory numbers or items. 3 items which are compulsory. And then section B has got 2 parts. 2 parts where you have part 1 and then part 2. Each we choose one. We choose one item. We choose one item. From each part, we choose one item. Now, section B has got 4 items. 2 in each section or in each part. Therefore, a learner sits, you name 3 items in section A and then 2 items in section B, making a total of 5 items to be certain of a learner. Altogether, by the end of the cycle, a learner is able to sit for how many? For 5 items. 3 from section A and then 2 from section B. We have already said that section B has got 2 parts. Part 1 and then part 2. Part 1 has got 2 items and then part 2 has got 2 items. So a learner is choosing one question from each part. Okay. Now, I want us to observe items under section A and then items under section B. How do we answer? What do we answer and when do we answer? That's the purpose of this lesson today. So, let's first observe and learn about what we call items of section A. Now, section A has got 3 items. Section A. 3 items. Now, item number 1. Item number 1. Now, the designers of the curriculum and those who designed what we call the examination curriculum, they designed and what we call the elements of construct. Altogether, elements of construct. Topics of the same or cross-cutting what we call competency are called element of construct. Now I want to see topics under item number 1. Topics under item number 1. 1. We have what we call, in fact, item number 1 is all about plant anatomy. Plant anatomy. Plant anatomy. Now, under plant anatomy, members, if you remember very well, those who study the senior well, anatomy is what we call a branch of biology, talking about what we call structures of what we call organisms. Therefore, here we shall only look at what we call plant structures. How to get plant structures only. However, which plant structures are we talking about? The plant structures. 1, we have the leaves. 2, we have what we call the flowers. 3, we have what we call the fruits. Over there. 4, we have what we call the stems. 5, we have what we call the roots altogether. Those are for the plant structures. Now, we have got a group of topics coming along with what we call the item number 1. One of the topics is what we call nutrition. Number 2, we have what we call transport, but in plants. Altogether, transport in plants. 2, we have what we call excretion, but in plants. Excretion in plants. We have what we call gaseous exchange, but in plants. Then we have what we call respiration, but in plants. Then we have what we call gaseous exchange, respiration, excretion. We have what we call growth and development, but in plants. Then we have what we call reproduction, again in plants. Reproduction in plants. So these are some of the topics which may come in what we call item number 1. These are the 7 topics we shall be expecting in item number 1 altogether. Okay. Now, always these items, they have part A, part B, and then part C. Don't forget, we no longer mark, we only score altogether. Therefore, when you are scoring, we follow levels. Now, always, among the part A, they will be asking you to mention altogether, to mention or to citate altogether, or to give, or to suggest. Am I clear? To give, to mention, to state, or to suggest what? 1. Plant parts affected. If not, plant processes. Altogether. So, in our scenarios, they may give a scenario when plants are being damaged by what we call some hazards which are natural. Altogether. Now, a question may come and will be asking you, identify the plant parts that were damaged by what we call the natural hazard which has been given. It may be hailstorm, it may be heavy rain, sunshine, like that. So for us, we shall be looking at what we call the plant parts or the plant processes being damaged. Am I clear? That's what we call part A. And part A only scores 1 score. Altogether. That is part A, 1 score. Now part B is always they ask you explain or describe how the plant processes were altogether. They will ask you what called reasons or how the plant processes were hindered altogether due to the available hindrances. They may ask you, for example, they can give you a scenario talking about what we call the hailstone altogether, tarnishing what we call the plant leaves. Then they will ask you questions. Describe how the hailstone altogether hindered the planting processes above you have mentioned. Am I clear? Therefore, a learner here must describe or must explain, and this part is taking 4 scores. 4 scores. Am I clear? 4 scores. So, explaining 4 scores is what we are aiming at. What are we explaining? Now, we have what called the basis of assessment. basis of assessment. When they are examining learners, what do we need? Altogether, what should we answer? 1. Mention the plant part damaged. The plant part damaged. Altogether. After telling us the plant part damaged, come and tell us which plant process was hindered. Plant process being hindered. Plant process being hindered. Then from there, follow it by what we call the adaptation of the plant part. Adaptation of the plant part. Adaptation of the plant part. And then lastly, tell us the importance. The importance of that plant part. Am I clear? That what? Plant part or plant process. Am I clear there? We are still under explanation. We have said under explanation, that is under part A, part B, you give us the plant part damage, the plant process altogether being affected, then the adaptation of the plant part, and then the importance of that plant part. For example, we may have what we call a hailstorm damaging our leaves altogether. That is our plant part. Which process is being hindered when leaves are being damaged? It is what? It is photosynthesis altogether. What is the adaptation of what we call the plant part you have mentioned, which is the leaves? Is that plant leaves, they have what we call chlorophyll, which absorbs sunlight altogether. Therefore, the importance of what we call the chlorophyll is to absorb sunlight, hence enabling the plant what? To photosynthesize. So, in our part, we have given the plant part, we have given the plant process, the adaptation of the plant part, and then the importance of that plant part. Am I clear? So you must then give us what called the importance of the plant process. What is the importance of photosynthesis? It enables what called plants to make their own food. Full stop. What if it was the stem? We can say when the hailstorm damage what called the plant stem, what happens? The process of what we call water transportation to the leaves was damaged. Why? This is because the stems contain what we call the xylem vessels, which transport water from the roots to the leaves altogether, hence enabling what we call transportation of water altogether. If it was the xylem now, we can say when the plant stems were damaged, we shall say that the process of what we call translocation was hindered. This is because plant stems, they contain what we call the flowing vessels, which are able or which enable what we call the translocation process, whereby food is being transported from the leaves to the roots where it's being stored. Am I clear? That is part B. Then in part C, here we shall talk about what we call one, adaptation of the plants. Adaptations of the what? Of the plant. To fight against the prevailing condition. Adaptations. If you don't explain adaptations, the question may require you to explain what we call the skill applicability. Application of skills. Altogether. Application of what? Of skills. Application of skills. I will send some items in your group. Yeah. So, application of what? Of skills. If they ask you adaptations, they ask you skill what? Applicability. What can you do to solve the problem in our environment? That's what we call application of skills. Then for adaptations, these are what we call the mechanisms through which plants will fight in order to normalize their being or their living. Okay, that is number one. That's how we answer number one. We have said part A, they ask you to mention, state, give, or suggest. One, they ask you the plant parts being damaged. Two, they ask you the plant processes being what? Being affected. Altogether. And then they ask you in part B to explain how the plant processes were affected. Altogether. You see those questions. Explain how the plant processes were affected by the hailstorm. We have said how the answer is by mentioning what called the plant part damaged, the plant process being damaged or affected, and then adaptation of the plant part, and then the importance of the plant part or the importance of the plant process. Full stop. Okay. Now let's go to item number 2. Item number 2. How do we answer item number 2, and which topics are coming under item number 2? Now, under item number 2, we have two topics majorly. Two topics. One is called locomotion. Locomotion. Altogether in animals or in mammals. And basically here we talk about what we call the bones and then muscles. Bones and then muscles. And then under number 2 topics, we have what we call coordination. Now under coordination class, we have the following being broken down in coordination. 1, we have what we call hormonal coordination. Hormonal coordination. Under hormonal coordination, we look at what we call the endocrine system of glands. Endocrine system of glands. So endocrine system of glands. Altogether. In biology, something endocrine has no duct. Therefore, these are called ductless glands. Altogether. Then number 2, we have what we call chemical coordination. In fact, it's called nervous coordination. Nervous coordination. Because if you don't call it what called hormonal coordination, you can call it chemical coordination. This is nervous coordination. And nervous coordination, we only look at what called the following. 1, we have what called the heart. Altogether, we have what called the brain. We have the spinal cord. And then lastly, we shall have what we call the nerves. This summarizes our what we call our nervous coordination. Now, number 3, we have what we call drugs and drug abuse. Drugs and then drug abuse. A learner must either an exam when is aware that in my item number 2, I will be looking at what we call drugs and then drug abuse. Am I clear? Drugs and then drug abuse. Then hormonal coordination and then nervous coordination. That is called what we call chemical coordination or coordination. However, under what we call nervous coordination, they may also look at what we call the reflex actions. Reflex what? Reflex actions. How to get it? Reflex what? Actions. Or reflex what? Reflex arc. Now, under reflex arc, we shall talk more in our next lecture. Now, we have another part I was leaving behind, which is called among coordination. They are called receptor organs. Receptor organs. Now, receptor organs, these are organs. Altogether, receptor organs, these are organs which are able to transduce what we call impulses from what we call receptors or receivers. Altogether, the word receptor comes from word receptors. Receivers. Okay. Now we have receptor organs. Here you can have an example. You have the eyes, basically. And then you shall look at what we call the ear. We have the tongue. Altogether. This is like the sensory what? The sensory organs. Altogether. Okay. Now, after having that, those are the summaries of what we call item number 2. What comes in there? Now, a question comes, how do they set these exams or these items in item number 2? Now, always when they are setting, they will examine you with the following. Number 1, they may combine the action or the mechanism of hearing with what we call the action of adrenaline hormone. Oh, there. That is part number 1. Mechanism of hearing or mechanism of seeing with action of adrenaline and then what called? Yes, adrenaline what? Hormone. All of us we are aware. Adrenaline hormone is coming from what we call the adrenal glands. Adrenal glands. All together. Then number 2, they may what we call bring the mechanism. In fact, they may talk about what we call the hormonal disorders. Hormonal disorders. Hormonal disorders with what we call drugs or drug abuse. All together. With drug what? Drug abuse. They can also set what we call mechanisms of seeing or hearing with what we call drugs. Again. All together. With what we call drugs. Can be also be there. All together. So, hormonal disorders and then drug abuse. Then sometimes they also combine what we call locomotion. All together. Locomotion. Then with what we call drug abuse. You must also note that. So, that is the basis of assessment. However, a learner must enter an exam to sit for item number 2 when you know number 1, mechanism of seeing. That is number 1. 2, mechanism of hearing. All together. 3, reflex arc. Reflex what? Reflex arc. Then number 4, you must also be knowing what we call the effect, in fact, social effects or social impacts. Social impacts of drugs. Social impacts of drugs. And then psychological. Psychological effect of drugs. Altogether. And then physiological effect of what? Physiological effect of drugs. Am I clear? So that is what called the basis of assessment of what called item 2. So have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You must enter an exam where you know them very well. And then you must also be knowing what called hormonal disorders altogether. For example, we have some diseases. For example, we have osteoporosis. This one can't miss. Osteoporosis. Altogether, osteoporosis. We have diabetes. Diabetes. Basically, what we call mellitus. Mellitus. Altogether. This one can't miss. Then we have got another one. Altogether. We have what else? But basically these ones, they can't miss. We have goiter is also there. Goiter can also be done there. Yes. Okay. So a learner must enter an exam when at least you can manage to focus on those ones there. Now let's go to item number 3. Item number 3. How do we do item number 3? Which topics are coming in there? Now, under item number 3, here we shall sort for senior 3 topics. Senior 3 topics and one senior 4 topic. 1. We have what we call genetics. We have genetics and inheritance. Inheritance. Number 2. We have what we call reproduction. Reproduction in animals. Then number 3, we shall look at what we call the growth and development. Growth and development. But let's just focus be on what we call growth and genetics and inheritance. Let me be on this one here. Okay. Then item number 4. Now we have entered section B. Section B. In fact, before we go to section B, under genetics, you must be aware of what we call the sex-linked altogether. Then sex-limited genes. Then, for example, there you can look at what we call the anemia, sickle cell anemia. Then you can look at what we call color blindness. Then you can look at what we call hemophilia. Then you can look at what we call the albinism. Those are like that, and they are crossing. Know the signs and symptoms and the causes. Now let's go to section B. Section B has got what we call part 1 and then part 2. Now part 1 has got one major topic which is called ecology. And ecology, we talk about what we call relationship of organisms and environment. The way you yourself behave with the environment is called what we call ecology. And these are 2 items of the same kind. Altogether, 2 items of the same kind. Then lastly, this one here. This one item, part 2, has got the following topics. 1. We have what we call nutrition. We have transport. We have excretion. We have gaseous exchange. However, gaseous exchange. We have respiration. But all of these in animals. Altogether. So read about these topics. You're aware in my part B, section B, part 2, I'm having these topics to be answered. This is always item number 6 and then number 7. This is always item number 4 and then number 5. Like that. Thank you so much. Like, comment, and then share. Thank you so much. May the God bless you. Yes.